Alright, everybody. This is take 5 on this video I want to do today. And I want to talk to you guys about something super specific. And it's why foreign policy matters to domestic politics. And this is inspired by a conversation I had with a friend the other day. He's never really talked about foreign policy stuff, from as far as I can tell. He's more interested in local stuff. So I kind of poked him on something, and I wanted to get his take on it. I asked about Ukraine, how he feels about Ukraine now. As far as, if you've paid attention to my stuff, my content, you know I care about Ukraine a lot. I've talked about it a few times on my channel, and it's something that I deeply care about for a lot of reasons. But I think first and foremost, and why I wanted to talk to him about it, he's someone who's really into domestic stuff. But I think that kind of foreign policy, it matters to domestic policy. And the reason why it's Ukraine to me is because of the way that I think the press, I think a lot of pundits, I think a lot of people in general have kind of framed support for aiding Ukraine and to not aid Ukraine as well. I would say that not all the time, but most of the time, if you see someone that's arguing against helping Ukraine, it's not because Russia's so cool. It's because something about Ukraine or something about the West is fundamentally wrong, and it needs to be addressed. A lot of the justifications come down to, like, Zelensky's a Jew, he's just selling out his people, or Ukraine's full of Nazis and they're not worth our help. Or the biggest one to me is that Western democracy is a sham, and Ukraine trying to implement it in their own country is only going to hurt them. Now, that is a total gaslighting measure to just say, oh, let us do what we want to do in Ukraine, because none of them actually had any control anyways. I hear that justification from a lot of people who are into international relations, or they're really into Russia and don't like the West for whatever reason that they are, because it removes autonomy away from the Ukrainian people. But that's why it matters, is because the Ukrainian people do have their own will. They have the ability to choose for themselves. And in 2014, at the Euromaidan revolution, or the Orange Revolution, if you know what I'm talking about, they did that. They did get up off their seats, and they ousted the leadership at the time. It was a pro-Russian oligarch, and he had to flee to Russia. And it proved something that not a lot of democracies have been able to prove in a long time, which is that the people still have a sovereignty in some sense. And Ukraine has a lot of problems still. There's a lot of corruption still, there's a lot of issues, but just the fact that they could do that, and they've moved on, and there wasn't a lot of issues, it proves something. It proves that democracy works. And to someone like Putin, who's completely against the idea of democracy, against the idea of popular sovereignty, as proven through another rigged election this past March, I want to say, that's a threat. That idea that the people have a will is a threat to him. So when I see people being against the Ukraine aid, it's like, I don't know if I trust you to actually have the people's will in mind. And something that I really want to get across here is that if someone is pushing a narrative when it comes to Ukraine, that tells where their domestic policy is. If you're for Ukraine, if you're willing to help them in some capacity, then you do believe in democracy, you do believe in popular sovereignty, you do believe in the will of people to fight against tyranny. If you're the kind of person that's just, let them get ousted, let them do their thing, America first kind of stuff, you're not helping. You're part of the problem. Because what that says is that you don't believe the American people could do it either. And you don't believe that people should be able to have that power. Now, that might be a little bit of an extrapolation on my part. But for what I can see in narratives and press and social medias, that's how people think. That's what people think is the case. And so I want to make a video like this that talks about why it's so important to care about this stuff. Because, if a democratic will is able to maintain itself against a dictatorial Russia, who's to say that the people of the United States can't go against power structures they don't like? Who's to say that the people in the United Kingdom can't do the same thing in their system? Who's to say the Scottish won't be able to do another referendum just out of popular sovereignty and will? Who's to say that there aren't going to be more freedom-loving people in the world that push for their freedoms and rights? But it comes down to, can they stand up against tyranny? America's done it before. It's how we were founded. Can we still do it? It's a different day. It's 250 years later. 70s, close enough. We're so far ahead now. It's a different day, but we still have a lot to prove. And it comes down to, can someone else do it first? Now, that is one point. That is the major point I want to put forward in this video. But the bigger, I guess, aspect of this is, if we are to buy the lies that it's the deep state, it's the New World Order that's just running the show, and Russia is really sticking it to the New World Order because Zelensky's a Jew, or they're ran by Nazis, or something stupid like that. Why can't I trust my city government? Why can't I trust my county? Why can't I trust my state? Because, it's the New World Order. They're running everything. They're running the whole show. So why shouldn't I, not follow any of their rules? Why shouldn't I shoot at my neighbor? Why shouldn't I, try to do something to resist this global order? Look, I'm going to be honest. America's really run the world for a while. We've ran it ever since the 90s, ever since the Soviet Union fell. And we've had Pax Americana for a little bit. And it's been really nice for the U.S. We're starting to see some issues on the domestic side. But I think it's a challenge that we can overcome. I think it's a challenge that the United States needs to face. And we need to prove it to the world that the people still have a will. That democracy wasn't a sham, that republicanism is not an outdated idea, that technocrats are not the people in charge. It is the people. It is genuinely by the people and for the people. It's going to take a lot to prove that, but that's our step forward, is to keep pushing this idea that the people have a will, that we need to fight for our freedom and for our rights. We're not going to do that by pretending everything is that we're a victim of everything, that there's some New World Order that's just fighting against us. We're going to do it by doing what democracies are supposed to do. Keep churning along, embracing the chaos that comes with democracy, and fighting through our civic rights to do what we're supposed to do. It takes a lot of courage, it takes a lot of intellectual rigor, and it takes a lot of sacrifice to do that, but it's worth it. The Ukrainian people are doing it right now for their own self-determination. Can we do it? I think we can. We just gotta do it. If you made it this far in the video, thank you for listening. I think this is gonna be my final cut. So I got everything out that I wanted. Thank you for listening to the channel, for watching this long, and I hope you'll have a good day. Thank you guys.